Happy Monday, everybody. Happy Monday. You know what? I don't have my iPad, so let me grab my computer so I can see if we get any comments. Hello. Hello, hello. Happy Monday. I forgot my iPad at home, so I'm going to have to use my computer for commenting. Let me just log in. If you're here, say hello. So I am in the middle of doing some orders that I got in over the weekend. Oh, and I got about 6 orders done, and my printer, my sublimation printer, print head is clogged. So I am working on unclogging it. I'm doing some cleaning on it, letting it self-clean. So let me go hit that button and let it run a cycle through again. I am going to turn off my heat press because I'm standing next to it and it makes my throat really dry. It's like the building that I'm in is definitely, I've noticed, I've been here since September. And the building before that I was in, I noticed it didn't get dry. But this building, I don't know, the other one wasn't really insulated very well. I don't know if it has to do with the insulation here, but this building seems like, I really feel like I need to get a humidifier in here because it's so dry. In this building, I could be good all day, all weekend, never cough, don't feel like my throat's like scratchy or dry. I come to my building and my throat just dries out here. I don't know if this combination of having heat presses on, my Glowforge running, I don't know. I know this building is a lot more insulated. I might even open my door because it's raining out today. So that might grab some. Let me get some of that moisture in here. I have 2 windows in this area here, my main area, and neither one of them open, which stinks. So it's light in here, it's light and bright, but my windows don't open. So the only thing I have is the door. So let me post in my Facebook group. Okay, so I actually was asked to make a really quick patriotic wreath. Well, it's weird the way it posts sometimes. So they didn't want nothing super fancy, but yet they wanted red, white, and blue. So they needed it for the front door. So that's what I'm going to work on. And I'm going to show you how to get a really quick how to take a grapevine wreath and turn it into something really quick, and we're going to use our deco mesh. So I love to use deco mesh in my grapevine wreaths. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to start with an 18-inch round. The two that I really like are 14-inch and 18-inch. They're my favorite. The 14-inch turns out to be a pretty cute little wreath. I really wasn't sure about it the first time I used it, but I really like it. I made one we had a little area in our church where we kind of needed something, and the lady had asked me, can you please make a patriotic wreath there? But it was just a small area, so it ends up being a smaller wreath, but it's cute. So let me put this up here. Maybe there I could see it. I don't want it to get in the way though. But I'm running out of room. I kind of use my wreath hanger here. I got a stand this is what I use a lot to be able to work my wreaths from. And I usually set my wreaths up. I really wish I could get another angle. Let me see if I can move this camera, and I'm going to give you an angle where you're kind of going to look over my shoulder. That might be better so that you can actually see me working. But I don't know if it's going to work out, so let's move and see. Come with me to my messy shop. Okay. Let's see if we can go from... There we are. Now, hopefully I won't get in the way of it. That's probably my biggest fear. Let's see if this is better. Okay. Oh, there we go. So you'll be able to see how I work my wreaths. This is what I do when I'm working. Usually I always have this here. Even though I'll work sometimes down here, I like to get it to where I can set it up there, and then I can see it how it would hang on the door, because not necessarily what we see when we're looking down this way. You know, things could be off. So first off, what I do is I find out which way I like my wreath to hang. Because if you've ever worked with a grapevine wreath, they're a little wonky sometimes, because they can't get perfectly round or perfectly, they just kind of get weird sometimes. So you just got to kind of mess with it and say, yeah, that's the way. Okay, so this is the way that I kind of like it, because this side's kind of flat. My two favorite styles are round, and I've really gotten into the oval. I love the oval wreaths. However, I have a lot of these rounds, so I want to use them up. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm actually going to be able to watch your comments right there. So let me do that. Let me message my husband. Sorry, my husband was trying to call me, so I figured I'd let him know I was on a live. He was with a customer, so I couldn't tell him. Good morning. Okay, so we're back. All right, so I'm going to incorporate my deco mesh into my grapevine wreaths. I love to do that. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut about 20 inches. And I'm going to do 7 of these. And I love this one. It's got, can you see that? It has the sequin ends. It really looks nice in the wreaths. So I'm going to have to grab another roll of that. I actually bought that online. So I will need to grab another roll. Sorry, it's a little noisy outside my door. Let me close that. Okay. I really wanted my door to be open, but that's not going to work. We also, I share a building here with, right next door. I got about a little over a quarter of the building. Over next door, connected to me, is a hair salon. And then right behind me is actually like a trucker loading, unloading It also is kind of like a rest area for trucks at night, truckers. A lot of loading and unloading there, like transferring from one truck to another. I don't know what goes on there, but it looks like that's what they do. All right, the last of the last. All right, so we got 7 of these. All right, so I'm just gonna grab some pipe cleaners. And we are literally just going to go in and we're going to treat this like we always do with our deco mesh. We just roll the end in a little, loop it, and then finger walk up to the loop here. And you kind of just get a, actually, let me tie these on first. We're going to go in and I do so many wreaths, so many different ways, sometimes I get ahead of myself. We need to actually tie 7 of these on. So I start about where the middle. So if I wanted to do, let's do a bottom one. And then we'll just have some coming up around the sides. We'll have the bow and, or I'm not even sure if I'm going to do a bow. I probably will this time. We're going to take and we're going to basically slice this in half. And we're going to work up this way. All right. So I'm going to do all of my ties into here. My pipe cleaners. Let's get them set in and get them ready for the deco mesh. So all I'm going to do is start 1 in the center and then we'll do 3 up each side. And if you've ever worked with grapevine, sometimes it can be very tricky trying to get things down through it. Because grapevine is weaved together to make the wreath. So it gets a little difficult sometimes to work with when you're trying to put stuff in, but it's my favorite wreath to work with. I love deco mesh wreaths by themselves on a wreath form, but I really love grapevine wreaths. And believe it or not, this is what I have worked with for years. Because deco mesh it's been out for a while, but grapevine wreaths seem to have always been here, at least as far as I can remember. I don't think deco mesh actually hit the scenes until about the 90s, actually, to be honest. At least that's when I think I can remember it coming about. Okay. Hopefully this will allow me to see comments. Okay, good morning. I am still locked out of my Facebook group page. Like, it's just a continuous cycle. Seeming to be like the circle of life anymore. It says I'm locked out again until tomorrow. I have no clue why. It locks me out, I kid you not, probably every 3 or 4 days. Where it doesn't let me do any lives, and I'm locked out again. So, I don't know. Okay, so now we got our ties on, all right? And I'm trying to kind of make them even. Don't worry if they're not super even. Grapevine, you'll realize, is very messy when you work with it. No matter how much you clean the grapevine out, it's messy. All right, so I'm going to take us down. And now we're going to start putting this in like we usually do with just a deco mesh wreath. We just roll the end just to get to make sure that it kind of, the frayed parts stay under. And then we're just going to start putting this in. And I'll start with the middle. And just tie it in nicely. And then I'm going to snip these off. Just because they're long. Let's get that up and out of the way. So did everybody have a great weekend? It was beautiful here in Pennsylvania, finally. Today it's raining, but it's Monday, so we had a beautiful weekend. The weather was absolutely gorgeous. We actually got our pool uncovered. So we're getting it ready for trying to get it warmed up. Every year I say I'm going to get a heater for it. But we are moving to Florida, so we'll probably be selling our house. As of right now, we're unsure, but we know we're going to be here until at least August. So the pool's uncovered and getting it ready for the summer. When you tie these in, just tie them in nicely. And this really adds a lot of bulk to your wreath. So it was actually in the 80s this weekend. Saturday, we was out on the Harley for the day. We actually went to our church. We had a cleanup day at our church. So we did do a cleanup day there. Until about 11:30, and then our church has a motorcycle ministry. So we all gathered up on the bikes, went to grab some lunch, grabbed some Brewster's ice cream. Just made a nice day of a bike ride because it was beautiful. I think it was like 83. I don't know why this, whenever I do this on my phone, it doesn't allow me to see. There we are. It doesn't allow me to see all of my comments. I don't know why. It's like phones act different than an iPad acts different than a phone, an iPad acts different than a computer, a laptop. I don't know why they just, it's like an ATM machine or a credit card machine. Why can't they all just be universal? All right, one more. It poured here this morning in Pennsylvania. Poured. It was beautiful. I got up at 6:30. It was beautiful out. It was like, oh, it's supposed to rain, but I don't know. Man, them clouds come in quickly. By 8:30, it was pouring. All right. Look how we bulked up this wreath. We have really just added some life to it. All right. So we're going to add some greenery now. And I am going to go in. Let's get this up here so we can see it. Can we see it? I mean, it's really just kind of added some life to it. And you can maneuver these around, move them around as you see. Like if you want that to twist that way, and you can. So I'm gonna take this apart like I always do, and I got my big stem cutter. This thing is awesome. Waited forever for it. So glad it's here. all I'm going to do is just pull this apart a little. Really fluff this up. Get some greenery in here. Let's get some greenery in here. And you know what I always say, put your stems in first. Don't commit to anything. Meaning don't glue them in. Because you know how many times I change my mind on what I'm going to do and where I'm going to put things? It's a lot. And you're probably going to see that happen right here. This apart. There's usually 3 to 4 shoots on a bush, depending on what floral bush you get, or flower bush, or greenery. There's usually always 3 or 4 shoots on them. So tear your bundles apart. Make the most out of them. And I like to try to even find the areas that I want to be in, because believe me, sometimes getting down into grapevine is sometimes hard. Sometimes where you want to put the flowers doesn't always work out, or the greenery, because it's really dense in there. And again, this is another one of these projects where you got to kind of trust the process. This looks like a hot mess, but it's going to come together. So I kind of like where those are at. So I am going to, I have a Sure Bonder glue pot here. I'm just going to dip it in, and now's the time. I like where it's at, so I'm going to secure my stuff in here. And I usually wait for the glue to kind of set before I go back in and, like sometimes this will need a little bit of fluffing. But I kind of sometimes wait a little. It don't take long for the glue to secure itself in there. And then I'll just go back in and just fluff it up a little. The nice thing about stems that have, when your stems are wired, when I first started working with, I did work with some live floral, and it is nowhere near as easy to work with as it is with artificial, because you can manipulate your stems. When you're working with live greenery, it is what it is. All right, I am going to put in 3 flowers. All right, so let's find some spots for those. And you know what I always say about when we're doing a symmetrical, meaning what we do on, we're going to cut our wreath down the middle. What we do on one side, we do on the other. It is the easiest way to work with any kind of wreath form is to do symmetrical, because whatever you do on one side, you do on the other. Very easy. Except for when I put a flower in, when I'm working, even though I'm doing a symmetrical design, I still follow the rule of odd numbers. It just looks better. I don't care if I do 2 on one side and then 1 on the other. That's okay. Just because the rule of thumb is usually, you know, odd. And I still like to stick with that. And sometimes that's the only time I really do that. I have these as well. But I think I am going to add a nice bow right here, okay? Because I think that'll probably fit the best. I'm not going to secure in these flowers yet, just to be safe, kind of, just to see how it looks once I get the bow on, all right? So we're going to make a real quick bow. Let's clean off my table so my ribbon don't get gross. Let me get some material. I'm just grabbing some ribbon, grabbing some bows, my bow material. Just grabbing up some things that I think might look good together. Let's get a solid in here. Let's get a big solid. All right, and it looks like we might need another blue. So let's do a blue in here. Let's do a dark blue. How about that? All right, that's what we're going to work with. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Usually I like six different ribbons. Okay. If you're commenting and I don't see you, sorry. I just can't see any comments. All right, we're gonna work on the easy bow maker. That's what I usually work on. And I'm gonna do a 6-inch bow here. So I'm going to kind of start with the 6-inch loops. Actually, we'll go about 6.5. Memorial Day is just 2 weeks away. And we will have the official start of summer. And then, you know, we'll blink and it'll be over. Summer goes by. We wait. Here in Pennsylvania, we wait 9 months for summer. And it seems to go by so quickly. And that's one of the reasons why my husband wants to move to Florida. Because we're both summer people. And my grandkids are. Most of my children are. All love summer. But we feel like here in Pennsylvania, we never get it. And if we have a bad summer, where we have had in the past, where it just rains, that just makes for a long year. All I'm doing on the bow maker here is each time I put a new loop on, it gets smaller. Some of these ribbons are so hard to pin. The glitter in them doesn't even allow you to. Mondays is so quiet here in my shop. I mean, it is anyways. I'm just usually the only one here. And I'm just playing music most of the time. But, of course, when I'm doing a live, I can't. I'll be flagged, and then what more can they do? Shut me down on my Facebook page? Well, hello, they've done that. Well, not shut me down. Don't let me do lives. But it's quiet here because the shop next door, the hair shop, there's nobody there. They don't work on Mondays. They're off Sunday, Monday. So it's very quiet here. Usually the parking lot is busy, you know, people in and out all day. Mondays is so nice. Nobody coming in, nobody going out. Nobody walking past the windows or knocking on my door. That's I get that occasionally. There used to be, where I'm at, used to be a nail salon. So they kind of worked hand in hand with each other, the hair salon and the nail salon. And so sometimes I'll get a knock on the door and I'll open up and they'll be like, oh, it's not the nail salon anymore. So I get that occasionally. I'm only going to do one side of bow there. So it's quiet. So I ended up having to put a sign on my door with my business name on it and telling them to please knock. Because a lot of times I'll just try and come in. The door's locked, but they'll just be sitting there trying to like push on the door, and you can hear them rattling the knob. But Mondays are quiet. Okay, so now that I got all my ribbon in, we've got a ribbon sandwich. Nice and thick. And then we're just going to put the pipe cleaner down through. And then this is when I really kind of smush it down in, because the tighter this center is, the better it is for you. Because see how those stand up? That's what you want. That makes a really good bow, because it makes it so that it's nice and tight, and all of your loops will now stand nice and tall when you arrange them. And then all I'm going to do is just pick these out. we're just gonna fluff, fluff, fluff. And if you sell your wreaths, make sure you include a little note, anything like that, where it tells your customers that they're going to need to refluff their bow once they get it. Even though I secure mine nicely into my wreath box, and I usually have nice height to it, you'd be surprised how many times someone will send me a picture and their bow is like smashed. I don't know if they've done it or not, but it's just a good reminder to them that they need to fluff their bow. You know, I get the pictures and I'll be so happy for the person that got it. And, but sometimes I'll just have to say, oh, that looks beautiful on your door, but you need to refluff the bow. Don't forget about your bow. So I've made up a little insert now that I put with my wreaths, just to remind people that they need to do that. Because they're not designers, so their eye's not really looking at that. All right, so now all we're gonna do is, see how that bow kind of just stuck itself up? It literally will almost fix itself. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. And fluff itself up if you tighten that enough. How many times I do that when I'm looking backwards at that? Let's give that a deeper V. And don't be afraid to really pull your bows around, your loops. Get them loops fluffed, get them moved around. All I'm doing is just dovetailing the ends. You don't have to dovetail if you don't like it. Some people don't. You can just cut a slant. So don't be afraid to just, if you're like, I don't really want to be like everybody else, or I don't want to do it that way, you don't have to. You can just do a slant on them. It was funny because I can remember when I first started, many people didn't even do dovetails. And I've been wreath making since the, the 80s? Yeah, so it's been a while. It was the first thing that I had actually done when I started crafting. So now you see why I like this is because now when I get it up here, I can see where I need to concentrate on, because I can't really always see what's going on when it's down on the table. Okay, so there we are with the bow. Let me cut this one down just a little. Okay, so I'm happy with where these are going to go. So let me just get those in. And be super careful when you're doing your glue, because you don't want to burn yourself. so we got our, let me just smush that. All right. I'm going to throw a little bit of white in it. You know, this is my favorite. I love this. So this is, I order a lot of this. I just got an order in of this. Because it really brightens up a wreath. It's one of my favorite fillers. And I still have these yet, which I'm kind of debating on. I bought a bunch of these, different kinds. Like, I've only got like 3 different kinds of these. I haven't added it to anything yet, and I keep wanting to, but then every time I want to add it, I don't know where to add it at. It's not something I usually work with. I know it's just another filler, but I've not really ever worked with any of like the fun things, which this to me is fun. Should I put it like down in the middle? Let me cut some of this down and see. Well, that's a thick stem. If it's not being cut through with this, that's a thick stem. Do I want it back here, kind of shooting up through the middle? I don't know. Oh yeah, I think I do. Okay, so let's glue that in. Like I said though, I've never really worked with these, and I've always wanted to. Let me find a spot for this. And sometimes working with grapevine, this is like a persuasion tool. I'm going to persuade an area here to be able to glue this into. Yeah. Okay. Some hot glue. Maybe. As I smash my bow to pieces. So I will definitely have to refluff that. But I'm going to let that set for a minute. Get the hot glue in there before I refluff my bow. Lots of glitter, lots of glitter. But I mean, how fun are these? I have this one. This one I just got, and then I got another one, which was really cute. Look how fun. But I was even thinking about taking these little balls off individually and kind of just poking them around. All right, that should have set by now. Let's get that sprung up. And I take these and curl these in between my fingers. I just use my fingers to kind of iron them. And again, we can weave our florals around because they're wired. So we can manipulate and move those if we need to. So now I'm just going to cut these apart a little bit more, if I can find my clippers. Just to add some white in and around. So just to brighten it up a little. We don't need to do a whole bunch, but enough, just to give it a little bit of brightening. And just watch sometimes when you're reaching down in, because sometimes you might have touched like a leaf or something with the glue. And glue is nothing to be afraid of, because let me tell you, I have been burnt so many times by hot glue and gave myself really bad burns from hot glue. So I try to be super careful, but you know how that goes. Okay, I actually think I am going to be done. Don't want to do overkill on it, but, and again, I will go through here. Let's get some of this bow. Let's get our bow all fluffed out again. All right, here we are, folks. That's it. Okay, let's get a good close up of this. What you think? That's it. I'm not going to go anymore, simply because I don't need to. I don't want to do overkill. But if, you know, this right here has really helped give a lot to the wreath, that instead of being, it really just bulks it up a lot. That's really what it does. So this in itself is like the showstopper, the center kind of. I always say this is the like the eye focal. That's it. Can we see? There we go. That's it, guys. Super quick, super easy. When you add deco mesh to your wreath, to a grapevine wreath, it really just gives it a lot that you don't even have to add a lot to it, because it already incorporates a lot of color, a lot of where you don't have to put a lot of floral in it. So if you're really low or limited to what you have on hand when it comes to some floral, definitely do add your deco mesh, because it will add the color that you need without having the floral that you don't have. Okay, that's it, guys. Quick, easy, fast, money maker for you, and not a whole lot of material. Okay, and sorry if anybody asked any questions, because believe me, I can't see anything, like even if I click on my comments. So if you're here, send me a heart, send me a thumbs up, let me know. I can't even see anything, so I'm going to see if I'm able to see anything that way. Okay, I got a comment, so it popped up. Love it. Thank you, Teresa. Yeah, and then that comment just disappears, and then I don't see anything. So, alrighty, that's it. It's noon. I'm going to grab lunch and see if I can get my printer working again. I have a clogged print head. So that's what I'm going to work on. All right, everybody, you have a great day and have a great rest of the week.